कहीं माना।
तनु के जन 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 कहीं माना।
जीव जनक नहीं जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
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 जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
तनु की जननी जननी निज माना।
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 जनक ही माना।
जनक ही माना।
तनु की जननी जननी निज माना।
तनु की जननी जननी निज माना।
जीव जननी नहीं जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
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 जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
तनु के भ्रात भ्रात निज माना।
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 तनु के भ्रात
भ्रात निज माना,
भ्रात निज माना,
भ्रात निज माना,
भ्रात निज माना,
तनु के भ्रात भ्रात निज माना,
तनु के भ्रात भ्रात निज माना,
जीव भ्रात नहीं जाना, जाना जाना जाना,
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 जाना जाना जाना,
जाना जाना जाना,
जाना जाना जाना,
जाना जाना जाना,
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना,
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना,
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना,
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना,
तनु के स्वामिन स्वामिन माना,
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 स्वामिन माना,
स्वामिन माना,
स्वामिन माना,
स्वामिन माना,
तनु के स्वामिन स्वामिन माना,
तनु के स्वामिन स्वामिन माना,
जीव स्वामी नहीं जाना, जाना जाना जाना,
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 जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना,
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना,
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना,
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना,
तनु के सखन सखन निज माना,
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 तनु के सखन सखन निज माना
तनु के सखन सखन निज माना
जीव सखहि नहीं जाना 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 जाना
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 जाना जाना जाना
जाना जाना जाना
जाना जाना जाना
जाना जाना जाना
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना 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 जाना
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना 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 जाना
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना 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 जाना
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना 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 जाना
तनु के सुतन सुतन निज माना
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 जीव सुतहि नहीं जाना 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 जाना
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 जाना जाना जाना
जाना जाना जाना
जाना जाना जाना
जाना जाना जाना
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना 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 जाना
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना 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 जाना
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना 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 जाना
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना 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 जाना
तनु के पतिन पतिन निज माना
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 तनु के पतिन 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 पतिन निज माना
जीव जीवपति ही नहीं जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
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 जाना जाना जाना,
जाना जाना जाना।
जाना जाना जाना।
जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
तनु को ही निज जीव ही माना,
तनु को ही निज जीव ही माना।
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 निज जीव ही नहीं जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
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 जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
तब कृपालु तू ही मम माना,
तब कृपालु तू ही मम माना।
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 रसिक कृपा जब जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
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 जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
तनु के जन कहीं जन कहीं माना,
तनु के जन कहीं जन कहीं माना।
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 जीव जनक नहीं जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
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 जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना, जाना जाना जाना।
राधे राधे गोविंद राधे, राधे राधे राधे।
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 राधे राधे गोविंद राधे, राधे राधे राधे।
राधे राधे गोविंद राधे, राधे राधे राधे।
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद 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 राधे।
गोविंद राधे,
गोविंद राधे।
गोविंद राधे,
गोविंद राधे।
गोविंद राधे।
गोविंद राधे।
गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद राधे 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 राधे
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना 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 जाना
जाना तू ही मम कान्हा जाना 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 जाना
कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की मन्नाथ श्री जगन्नाथो मद्गुरु श्री जगद्गुरु मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः ध्यानमूलं गुरो पूजामूलं गुरोर्पदम् मन्त्रमूलं गुरोर्वाक्यम् भक्तिमूलं गुरोर्कृपा नमः कमलनाभाय नमः कमलमालिने नमः कमलपा नमस्ते कमले क्षण यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रणोति तस्मै तग्मं देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशम् Nasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Radhe Radhe to everyone. It sounds like I'm getting some audio coming out of the video cabinet. I don't know if, Pranay, I can hear myself back, if you want to turn that down. So Radhe Radhe everyone. The last few Sundays we've been taking up questions that our YouTube viewers have been sending to us. Today I have quite a few questions, and I'll get through as many of them as I can, because it will be a few weeks before we have another one of these Q&A sessions, since our sadhana shivir will be starting from next Sunday. So the next 3 Sundays will be part of our sadhana shivir. So let me start with the one that I mentioned last week. Someone is asking about whether science can help us to understand God's plan. So he's looking at it from both sides. He's saying, I want to know, with all the science, can we at least partly shed light on God's plan? Or does all of that come under the domain of Maya, and nothing except more confusion will ever come out of such scientific inquiry? Science can help us appreciate God. Science cannot help us know God. What I mean by that is that everything about God is unlimited and divine. So what are the faculties we have to know God or know God's plan? Although God's plan, it's an interesting turn of phrase, because I explained God's plan to you the last 2 weeks. The whole purpose behind Srishti is to give us the chance to attain God, to give souls the chance to attain God. So from that point of view, God's plan is very simple to understand. Everything He's doing is for us. He manifests this universe for us. He produces Ved for us. He sends saints and takes avatar Himself for us. He keeps track of our karma and gives us the consequences for us. All of that is for us, to take us towards Him. From that point of view, His plan is not difficult to understand. Even we can understand His plan. But I think, if I can read into the question, really what the person is asking more about is, can we know God through science? Can science help us to understand God, or even to prove God's existence? From this point of view, science is very limited. Let's leave God aside for a moment. Science is material. Our mind is material. We develop science or discover scientific principles through our mind and through our observations of our senses, which are all Mayic. In other words, the phenomena which we observe are Mayic, and the means of observation is Mayic. Our senses are Mayic. Our mind, which has to interpret those observations, is also Mayic. So just in this Mayic world where it's Sajatiya, our senses and mind are Mayic, and the objects we're observing, or the energies or things we're observing, are also Mayic. Nonetheless, we're constantly facing our limitations. The more we know, the more we realize there is to know. The more science discovers, the more scientists realize how little they actually understand. In the past, I've quickly gone through the levels of creation, but just quickly to understand. See, what we see around us right now is gross matter. It is the most gross manifestation of the Mayic energy, these solid things. More subtle than that, we're able to, with our scientific developments, certain technologies allow us to perceive things more subtle than gross matter. We can perceive energy. We can measure electromagnetic energy, nuclear energy. This is even more subtle. We can understand certain properties of light. So, with science, we've been able to delve to a certain level. But if you look at what our scriptures say about creation, this sthul matter, we would call Prithvi. Then the next more subtle thing than that is Jal. Next more subtle thing than that is Tej. So Tej, you can say, is light. And small subparticles, the smallest, tiniest subparticles that science has been able to discover. Beyond that is Vayu. Beyond that is Akash, the empty space in which we all reside. Beyond that are many more layers of this cosmic existence. Pancha Mahabhut, Pancha Tanmatra, Panchikarn, Ahankar, Mahan, Prakriti. All these layers of creation are more subtle than some of them are even more subtle than our own mind. So what I'm trying to lay out for you is that there are even levels of this material existence which we will never be able to reach to, no matter how far ahead science goes, because science cannot outpace the human mind. It is the mind that's developing. It is the mind which is creating. It is the mind which has to understand. So when there are layers of creation more subtle than the mind, how will the mind ever reach that? It's not possible. Just like our eyes can't understand our mind. Our senses cannot understand our mind because mind is more subtle than the senses. So there are layers of Maya which are more subtle than the mind. Then how will the mind ever understand that? So what I'm trying to say is material science has its limitations even within the material field. Now when we talk of understanding God, God is beyond the material field completely. Divyo hyamurtah purushaha sabahya bhyantaro hyajaha. Mundaka Upanishad says God is divine. And this world is material, our body is material, our mind and senses are material. Therefore, indriyebhyah parahyartha arthebhyascha param manah manasastu para buddhir buddhiratma mahan para mahatah paramavyaktat mavyaktat purushah parah purushan naparam kinchit sakashtha sa paragati. Kathopanishad says, more subtle than your senses are the objects of the senses. There are certain things that are so subtle even our senses can't perceive. So the objects of perception are more subtle than the senses that try to perceive them. More subtle than that is man, our emotional mind. More subtle than that is buddhi. Beyond buddhi is the soul. Buddhi means intellectual mind. And beyond the soul is Maya. Beyond Maya is God. And there is nothing beyond God. According to this, our mind cannot even understand our soul, let alone the original cosmic energy Maya, and understanding God is far, far beyond us because He is even beyond Maya. You see, think of these lights that are shining here. Where do they get their energy? There's a powerhouse somewhere generating electric energy. And that electric energy comes and enlivens, illuminates this light. Can this light know the powerhouse? No. The light is powered by the powerhouse, but it cannot challenge the powerhouse, that I know you. Something like this, our senses and mind receive their energy to function from God. You see, God is powering our soul, and our soul is powering our mind. Our mind powers our senses and body. So the original power is coming from God. Just like these light bulbs can't challenge the powerhouse, our mind cannot challenge God. I can know you, God. We can't, because God is the one giving energy to the mind to function. Our efforts to know God through any material means, in other words, through the power of our own mind, they're like a person who goes out in a boat on the ocean, and he has a kind of stick to measure the depth. So he goes out there and he's got a 1 meter long stick, and he submerges that over the edge of his boat, and he holds it up and he tells the world, I have measured the depth of the ocean. It is 1 meter long, 3 feet long. Another person in a boat next to him has a 100-meter long stick. He submerges that in the ocean, and he takes it up and he shows the world, no, this person is wrong. I have measured the depth of the ocean. It is 100 meters long, 100 meters deep. Both are wrong. Both are fools. The ocean is much deeper than that. They're not telling the depth of the ocean. They're only telling the length of their stick. So when we try to explain God with our material intellect, we are not explaining God. We are revealing the extent of our intellectual power. We are revealing the limitation, how far our mind can reach. We have not actually reached God. The ocean at least has a limit to how deep it is. God is unlimited. So how with a limited thing can you measure or know something that is unlimited? How with a Mayic thing can you measure or know something that is divine? So this is why our mind can never know God through its own effort. And this is why science cannot know God. Because what is science? Science is, you can't separate science from the human mind. It is the mind that develops the science. So if the mind innately lacks the capability to reach unlimited things or to reach divine things, then how could science being developed by the mind ever reach such things? Scientific progress is limited to the material field, and that too, within the material field, it faces its limitations. However, we can still use science to appreciate God. A scientist doesn't have to be an atheist. With this understanding, a scientist can know, okay, I can use science to help us understand the material world and to develop technologies that will improve people's lives, but I'm not going to use science to try to explain God. That's fine. God is beyond science. I'm just studying God's creation, this material world. A scientist can say that. And instead of being amazed that all of this has developed through some random luck, the scientist can discover the patterns and the systematic way that the world and the universe, or a cell or an electron, is functioning, and be amazed that, wow, this is my beloved Krishna's creation. He's so amazing. This could never happen without him. So a scientist can use science to appreciate God even more, but cannot use science to explain God or to know God. To summarize, a spiritual person shouldn't say that there's no use for science. Science has its use within its proper field. And a scientist shouldn't say that if my science can't prove the existence of God, then there is no God. I don't believe in God. You're using the wrong instrumentation to prove the existence of God. Can a compass tell you which way the wind is blowing? No. A weather vane can tell you which way the wind is blowing. The compass tells you the alignment of the magnetic lines of the earth. Can you measure how loud something is with a telescope? No. So you need the right instrument to measure the right thing. Similarly, to measure God, to know God, to understand God, do you know what you need? God's mind. That's why in Gita, Shri Krishna says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. Arjun, when you fully surrender to me, I give you my mind. I give you a divine mind. With a divine mind, which has unlimited power and potency, because it's Krishna's mind, that mind can understand Krishna. In other words, with Krishna's grace, you can know him. With a divine mind, you can know him. But to get that divine mind, you have to surrender. He'll give it to you. So it's very simple. Our material mind can understand the material world to a certain extent. And if we surrender that very same mind to Shri Krishna, he gives us a divine mind. And with our divine mind, we can know him. To see God, you can't see God with your own eyes. You can't perceive God no matter how far ahead technology progresses. You will never be able to develop a scientific instrument which can perceive God. Why? Because you need God's eyes to see God. And how do you get God's eyes? Divyam dadami te chakshu pashyame yogamaishwaram. Gita. Arjun, you want to see my godly form? Okay, here, I'm giving you divine eyes. I'm giving you my eyes. Now see me. With Krishna's eyes, you can see Krishna. With Krishna's nose, you can smell Krishna. With Krishna's ears, you can hear Krishna. With Krishna's mind, you can know Krishna. So this is the philosophy, this is the science behind, or you can say this is the relationship between spirituality and science. We still use scientific thinking on the spiritual path. The true path to God is not about blind faith. Blind faith means follow this and you'll get the benefit after you die. That's blind faith. You keep following the same thing for your whole life. You're not told how to measure your progress or to even know if you're making any progress. Just keep doing what I told you, and after you die, you'll go to God. That's blind faith. And that is not taught in our scriptures. We are taught to use this same scientific process. In science, what are you looking for? Proof. On the spiritual path, you should also see proof. Because a true path to God will purify your heart. And you'll start getting experiences of God's closeness. And that is part of your proof. Your heart will purify. And you'll start realizing that the negativities of your mind, like anger, hatred, impatience, frustration, start reducing. And all the godly qualities, like patience, energy, compassion, generosity, all these good qualities will gradually increase. So you observe changes within yourself. See, you're still observing, trying to find proof. Am I really following a path that's giving me the benefit? Am I really moving in the right direction? It's not blind faith. Faith, yes. You have to trust in the Guru who gave you the instructions. Otherwise, you wouldn't even take step one. So you have faith, but you verify. Am I getting the results that I was promised? Am I getting experiences that give me the evidence that I am progressing towards God? You see, we use scientific type of thinking on the spiritual path as well, because we are looking for proof, and we do want the ultimate proof, which is seeing God with our eyes. But you get that proof once you surrender to God. Through His grace, you get divine eyes. Then you get that ultimate proof. You have to qualify to get that ultimate proof, but the proof is there. It's available. So that is question one regarding God and science. Let's try to quickly go through some other questions. There are quite a few practical questions about devotion and living a devotional life, so let me focus on these. One devotee is asking how to constantly go ahead in sadhana. I was just discussing that we want to see progress. So this devotee is saying how to get constant progress. The key is consistency. Whatever practice the Guru has prescribed, that this is the path to God, do this. We have to be consistent in that. Consistency means every day we have to do something. Whatever that is, whatever means of practicing and experiencing that connection with Radha Krishna is, we have to do it consistently every day. That means don't try to do 5 hours one day and nothing the next. That type of erratic practice of sadhana will keep you going up and down. It's much better to do less amount, but the same every day. Just be consistent. Keep practicing devotion every day. If for you, half an hour feels like a lot, I just can't do it. I can't do it every day. So I do it one day and then I stop for a week. That's not going to give you progress. Doing 5 minutes every day will give you more progress than doing 30 minutes one day and nothing for the next 6 days. Although it may add up to close to the same amount of time, you don't get the same benefit. Benefit comes from practicing every day. That means whether it's sitting, doing some kirtan, doing Roop Dhyan, of course, or sitting and doing some Radhe breathing, whatever form of sadhana you're doing, you have to do it every day. And keep the mind positive. That's the other important point. Be consistent in your practice of sadhana and stay positive. Allowing your mind to become disheartened is a big enemy of devotion. Keep going. Keep doing the same thing. Keep practicing every day and know that God and Guru are with you and they are gracing you. So keep the mind in that positive outlook. If you feel bad, it's okay. Everybody has bad sanskars. But while you're feeling bad, you still have to feel good. You still have to have a positive outlook that I know I'm being graced by Radha Krishna. I know that I'm on the true path. I'm having a bad day, it's fine, but it's not the end of the world. Things will get better. This is just one small day. I've survived much worse. We keep worrying, oh, I have this, I have that, I have that. Yes, but compared to what you've been through in the rest of your life, is it any worse than what you've already survived? No. Probably a lot better. And yet today I'm so bothered by this thing, I'm worrying and becoming so stressed about this thing. And I've been through hundreds and thousands of things as worrisome or worse than this. Then why am I worrying? I made it through all of that. I made it here today. I'll make it further ahead. So use some positive thinking to keep the mind always being hopeful and positive, and be consistent. The progress will happen automatically. So just those two things: be consistent in doing sadhana every day, and always keep the mind positive. Don't allow any feelings of disheartenment to come in your mind. Okay. A devotee is concerned by something that Shree Maharaj has cautioned us about. He says that I have heard in Maharaj's pravachan that we can fall from the path of devotion even having reached bhav bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is the practice of devotion, and when, as I just explained, if you keep practicing, you start getting experiences in devotion. That's called bhav bhakti. In bhav bhakti, a person starts to develop more and more excitement to meet Radha Krishna because they're getting these real experiences. And those experiences go on intensifying and elevating all the way up to complete heart purification and then God realization. But this person is asking that Maharaji has said, even after reaching bhav bhakti, a devotee can fall from the path. How much probability is there of this happening, and how much should we be afraid of this? We don't need to be afraid of it, because being afraid of it means you're focusing on it and you're doing chintan of it. And that's a negative thing. But we have to have that awareness that this is a reality, that even having reached the stage of bhav bhakti, if we are careless about certain things, it is possible to fall from the path of bhakti. Although falling from the path of bhakti is not something that happens to you. It's more a decision that is made. What I mean is that on the path of bhakti, we have the protection of Radha Krishna's grace and the Guru's grace. This protection is lacking for the jnani and the yogi, which is why those paths, is one of the reasons those paths are so much more difficult, and why falling from those paths is the expected thing. It's the norm. You go some way and you fall, because the mind inevitably goes back into the world and drags the yogi or the jnani down. But on the path of bhakti, simply having some worldly desires is not enough to make someone fall from the path, because God and Guru are protecting the bhav of that devotee. Yoga kshemam vahamyaham. Shri Krishna says, I protect what you've gained, that bhav that you've gained, I protect it. And I ensure your further progress. But if the devotee cuts the connection, then it's a different story. If a devotee starts allowing their mind to have negative thoughts about God or Guru, what they're doing is they're severing the connection they have with the Guru. The Guru is protecting the devotee's devotion with grace internally. But how is that grace allowed to enter the heart of the devotee? Through that connection. Our mind has to be connected to the Guru. So if we are severing that connection through thinking negative thoughts about Guru, thinking negative thoughts about God, that's called namaparad, then we sever the connection, then how will Guru protect our devotion? It becomes a spiral. And negative thinking leads to more negative thinking, which leads to more negative thinking, and eventually the devotee has totally spoiled their mental state. They have no more experiences of bhav, and they're unable to feel that connection because they themselves have severed it. So this type of thing can happen. We should be aware of that, which is why we should always be careful about our thinking. Don't allow such thoughts to pollute our mind. Otherwise, normal mistakes of the mind, normal deviations of the mind from devotional thinking into worldliness, these things happen, and the Guru is there to protect us and keep us on the path. Where someone would fall from the path is when they sever that connection with the Guru. So that is not, as I said, that's not something that would happen to you accidentally, like you have to be afraid that, oh, I hope this never happens to me. You don't have to hope, just don't let it happen. That's it. You're in control. So don't do that thing, and the connection won't be severed, and you won't fall from the path. We see with how little amount of effort we put in, how much swift progress we're able to achieve on this path. So we're so, really we're so careless and kind of bumbling along in our own way on the path, and yet with Guru's grace, we're making so much progress. We're getting out much more than we're putting in. So we shouldn't worry, actually, about falling from the path. We shouldn't have that fear in our mind. Just like I said earlier, we've come this far. Why would we not be able to go further? We'll keep improving and keep getting better, and things will get easier and easier, and our progress will become more and more swift. But we should be cautious about the namaparad. This question from another devotee is somewhat related. What is the literal meaning of attaching our mind and intellect to the mind and intellect of the Guru? Mind and intellect means man and buddhi. Man is your emotional mind, buddhi is your intellectual mind. Both should be attached to the Guru, both should be attached to God. What does it mean? Man, your emotional mind, is the one that loves and feels affinity. And the intellectual mind is the one that analyzes. So attaching the intellectual mind to the Guru means just like when you go to the doctor and the doctor says, according to your symptoms, I diagnose you with this illness and I prescribe this treatment. So you're saying, yes, doctor, yes, okay, yes, I'll do just that. In other words, you've joined your intellect with the doctor's intellect. You didn't say, oh, doctor, I think this diagnosis is incorrect. See, when I studied medicine, oh wait, I didn't study medicine. So I'm unqualified to diagnose this. Okay, let me keep quiet and just accept what the doctor's saying. That means you surrendered your intellect to the doctor. We do the same thing with the Guru. The Guru is one with God and is telling us how to reach God. Do that. Follow the prescribed path that the Guru has given to you, explained to you. So you've surrendered your intellect to the Guru. You've attached your intellect, joined your intellect to the Guru's intellect. Joining the man is also important. We were just singing the kirtan that was telling us that Krishna is our true father. It's Father's Day today, so we're celebrating fathers, but there's only one father of our soul. That's Sri Krishna. That feeling of affinity for Krishna and the Guru, that means we've joined our man with them. We worry about so many things, right? But if we truly felt that Krishna is my father, my real father, what would we worry for? Why do we allow our mind to worry? Because we forget Krishna is mine. Krishna is my best friend. If I really felt and accepted that in my man, what would I ever worry for? When would I ever allow negativity to creep into my mind? No stress, no worry. Krishna is my best friend. Krishna is my father. Radha is my mother. That feeling of apanapan, mamata, we call that affinity in English. That means your man is joined with Krishna. That means your man is joined with Guru's man. Oh, Guruji is my divine father. He's protecting me. He's gracing me. That means your man is joined with the Guru, and following the Guru's instructions means your buddhi is also joined with the Guru. What is the best Guru Seva we can do? Shri Ram has answered that for us. Soi sevak priyatam mama soi mama anushasan mane joi. The one who follows my instructions is the best sevak. So I was just telling that Guru has given us instructions for how to follow the path to God, and that is his whole purpose for coming on this earth, is to help souls reach God. So how could we please him more than by following his instructions so his purpose could be realized? We're helping him realize his purpose of bringing souls to God if we follow his instructions. So what could be a better seva to the Guru than following his agya, following his instructions? There is no better seva. There's one thing we can add to that though, maintaining positive chintan, thinking positively about the Guru and about Radha Krishna, that is also seva to the Guru. So it's simple. You want to please the Guru, you want to do Guru seva, follow the instructions given by the Guru, and always maintain positive thinking. That is a very simple understanding of how to do Guru Seva. One last question, and we'll see. I have 2 or 3 more, which we'll save for the next time. How will we do seva in Golok? There are uncountable devotees. So my turn will only come time to time, or is there some other explanation? In the divine world, there is space and there is time, but not our space, material space, and not material time. We are conditioned to know and understand material space and material time and the limitations that come along with that. If there is one Krishna and millions of souls, so according to what we know in this world, how will everybody get his close personal association? There's only one of him. In the divine world, there are no such limitations. I'm not going to try to explain to you practically how it works, because it doesn't work like anything in this world. There is one Krishna, but everybody is close to Krishna all the time. That's all I can say. So you don't have to wait your turn. You get to serve Krishna all the time, anytime. You get to be in any leela, all leelas, again, anytime. In the divine world, there are no limitations, and there is no such thing as no. Whatever you can imagine is yes. It can all happen. It's all possible. So that's it for today's Q&A session. For those who have been waiting to have their questions answered, I apologize. I'm unable to get to all of them, but the 2 or 3 that are left over, I'll save those for the next session. The next Q&A session we'll have after our Sadhana Shivir. We will be broadcasting live during the Sadhana Shivir, not only at this Sunday time from 11 to 12:30, but also every evening there will be live lectures by the Pracharaks of JKP. So starting next Saturday night, June 26th, for 2 weeks, from June 26th until July 10th or 11th, we'll be having live lectures every night, and those will all be broadcast live on. Those will be broadcast live on YouTube, and of course, Sunday mornings will be broadcast live. So let us finish with a little bit of kirtan. During this kirtan, let us try to attach and join our man with God and Guru. This is Father's Day, as we mentioned. Father's Day is the chance to remember Krishna is my father. Whatever feelings you have for your physical father of this world, imagine if you could also have those feelings for Krishna. Transfer those feelings to Krishna. All of us here have fathers. Or if you didn't know your father growing up, then make Krishna your father. But in either case, transfer those feelings of looking up to our Father, loving our Father, transfer that to Krishna. What if Krishna was your real father? This is how we attach our man to Shri Krishna on Father's Day. So let us do a few minutes of kirtan as we're doing this meditation. And you're all welcome to face the beautiful shrine to help with your Rup Dhyan. Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe
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 Radhe Radhe Govinda
Radhe Govind Govind Radhe
Radhe 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 Radhe Govind Govind Radhe
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 Radhe Radhe Govind 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 Govind Radhe
Govind Radhe
Govind Radhe
Govind Radhe
Govind Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govind 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 Govind Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govind
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
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 राधे राधे गोविंद 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 गोविंद राधे
वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की We'll also be continuing our Father's Day celebration this evening with our 7:30 till 9 p.m. daily satsang. So you're welcome to come and join us for that kirtan. And we'll also be having the chance to do pujan to Shree Kripalu Ji Maharaj at that time during the 7:30 till 9 session. Now, are there any announcements? No. So we can all stand for the arti. And Gopal Das, fathers. So all fathers, please come forward and take an arti tray. You're all invited to do arti of Shri Krishna and Radharani today.
जयति जगत गुरु गुरुवर की, गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की। गाओ गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की। गुरु पद नख मणि चंद्रिका प्रकाश, जाके उर बसता के मोहतम नाश। जाके माथ नाथ तब हाथ करवास, ताते हुए माया मोह सब ही निराश। पावे गति मति रति राधावर की, गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की। गाओ गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की। अरे मन मूड चारु नारी नर हाथ, गुरु बिनु ब्रह्म श्याम हो न देंगे साथ। कोमल कृपालु बड़े कृपा सिंधुनाथ, पाके इन्हें आज तू अनाथ हो सनाथ, इन्हीं के अधीन कृपा गिरिधर की। गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की, गाओ गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की। भक्ति योग रस अवतार अभिराम, करे निगमागम समन्वय ललाम। श्यामा श्याम नाम रूप लीला गुण धाम, बाँट रहे प्रेम निष्काम बिनु दाम। हो रही सफल काया नारी नर की, गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की। गाओ गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की। लली लाल लीला का सलोना सुविलास, छाया दिव्य दृष्टि विच प्रेम का प्रकाश। वैसा ही विनोद वही मंजू मृदुहास, करे बस बर बस उच्च अट्टहास। झूमी चले चाल वही नटवर की, गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की। गाओ गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की। जयति जगत गुरु गुरुवर की, गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की। गाओ गाओ मिली आरती रसिक वर की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। दुहुन सिर कनक मुकुट झलके, दुहुन श्रुति कुंडल भल हलके। दुहुन दृग प्रेम सुधा छलके, चसीले बैन रसीले नैन गसीले सैन। दुहुन मैनन मनहारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। दुहुन दृग चितवनी परवारी, दुहुन लट लट कनी छवि न्यारी। दुहुन भौमट कनी अति प्यारी, रसन मुख पान हसन मुस्कान। रसन दम कान, दुहुनि बेसर छवि न्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। एक उर पीतांबर फहरे, एक उर नीलांबर लहरे। दुहुन उरलर मोतिन चहरे, कंकनन कनक किंकिनिन झनक नूपुरन भनक। दुहुन रुन झुन धुनि प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। एक सिर मोर मुकुट राजे, एक सिर छवि छाजे दुहुन सिर तिरछे भल भ्राजे संग ब्रज बाल लाडली लाल बाह गल डाल कृपालु दुहुन दृग चारी की बनवारी नथवारी की आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की मत प्रियान राधिका प्रियान मधवो राधिका धव तस्मादपि गरियान्यो कृपालुर्मे जगद्गुरु गुरुं भजति श्रीकृष्णं भजते गुरु सिद्धान्त तत्व भेदेऽपि कृपालुर्मे गुरुर्महान् अशरण शरण महाप्रभु तुम स्वामी हम दास कीजय कृपा कृपालु मम दीजय गुरु सहवास तुम दीनन रखवार हम अहंकार अवतार अस करु कृपा कृपालु अब दीन बनु सरकार हो ऐसो हो पतित जो पतित ना आपुहि मान ऐसे पतित विचित्र को पावन करु तब जान सबे भिखारी जगत के जेतिक नाते दार दिव्य प्रेम आनंद के तुम एक साहूकार अनंत भूमंडलाचार्य की
जय।
जगत गुरु श्री कृपालु जी महाराज की
जय।
श्री रासेश्वरी राधा रानी की
जय।
श्री राधा माधव धाम की
जय।
जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे जय जय